Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Hammer Territory podcast. This is episode 214. I am your host, Brad Rowland, coming to you on a Wednesday evening here in mid-June, and I'm joined, I can't believe this, I'm joined by Scott Coleman. Scott Coleman, back from Hawaii / from the dead. How are you, sir? Welcome back.
Hello. Thank you, Brad. It's good to be back. I took a vacation, and apparently the Braves took a vacation at the same time because, dude, there was some last week. That was, I thoroughly enjoyed my hate listening of you and Steven on Sunday night. I actually thought it was a fantastic show. I think this podcast, myself excluded, does a really good job when the chips are down because it's easy to do shows when teams won 8 out of 9 and all is good and dandy. It's not hard to come up with content, but it's been a rough go. And thankfully, the Braves won the series against the Brewers, which is not a small thing, snapped the losing skid. And, I feel like every time you and I do a show, it's like, okay, maybe they're going to start to figure some things out. But the schedule does kind of line up for them. If they're going to make hay, it kind of feels like now or never.
It does, and we are going to get into some of the big picture stuff in a minute because it's worth talking about. You've been gone for a little while. I have some numbers as to what happened while you were gone. They were not pretty. For example, we should encourage people at the top of the show also, if you're just joining us for the first time or searching for Spencer Schwellenbach perhaps on YouTube and you want to find the show, subscribe to our podcast, Hammer Territory, anywhere you find podcasts. Check us out. We really appreciate it. We're here 12 months a year covering the Braves in deep dive fashion. But I do want to take the opportunity because of what happened on Wednesday afternoon to start the show in a positive fashion and do a segment about a positive topic. Not to pull my best Sean Coleman and be positive at all times. We love you, Sean. But look, this was worthy of it. Spencer Schwellenbach was absolutely lights out today. His first career complete game. He was just fantastic. And basically, they won a series. Look, that isn't the highest bar to clear. We do kind of do the bit a lot where you want to just stack winning series, and the Braves lost 6 consecutive series, and that's not a misprint. That's what happened. They also lost 7 games in a row recently, heading into the weekend. And to come out in this and look, they won behind Sale and Schwallenbach, and that's not a huge surprise when that happens. But Schwallenbach in particular today was just awesome, and the fact that he set his own history, didn't have to fool the bullpen at all. It's nice when the bullpen can just take a day off on a Wednesday. He's your guy. What did you see from Spencer on this Wednesday afternoon?
That was as good as Spencer Schwellenbach has pitched in the majors. And 9 innings, 105 pitches, almost had a Maddox, but couldn't quite get there. But I think it was the first time since last May or June that the Braves had a complete game, which was from Max Fried. And really, you look at Schwellenbach's day, 9 strikeouts over 9 innings. This jump in velocity for Spencer seems to be legitimate. I know, was it 2 starts ago when he was just hitting 100 regularly on the Truist Park gun? And it looked like it was 100, but everyone was like, maybe it was a hot gun or something like that for a day. But he was humming 98, 99, 100 again today. And he's just so good. He gave up 1 solo homer that was kind of harmless to Rhys Hoskins, gave up another run in the 8th inning when the game was pretty much in hand. And other than that, it was cruise control for Schwallenbach. And he is just such an impressive young pitcher.
He hit 99 on a fastball in the 9th inning today. It was like pitch 98 or something like that. It was very impressive. It was economical. Like, gone are the days when you're going to have a young pitcher, or really any pitcher, go 140 pitches for a complete game. But the fact that he was going into the 9th with 90-ish or sub 90 even, I can't remember what the number was. I liked that they gave it to him, let him do it. Yeah. He had a lead. If he hit trouble, they probably would have taken him out, but there was no trouble. That was nice to see. And look, he got 13 straight guys out at one point, and he was just cruising. Like, I know it wasn't perfect. He allowed 2 runs. I get it. But in typical Schwallenbach fashion, 9 Ks, 0 walks. I'm a sucker for that. Everyone knows that. That's a long time listener to the podcast. He now has 84 strikeouts and 14 walks this season. That'll play, obviously. And look, I know we were never worried. There was a little bit of hey, he's cooling off a little bit earlier this season, a couple starts in a row that were not so good. He'll never tell us all stuff that he changed or whatever. There were some observations that were being made, but he looks the part again. It's really nice, and it doesn't solve all the problems with the offense. The offense has been the offense. We all know the story there. But when you do have, and they currently do have 2 flat-out aces in the rotation right now, the way that Sale is pitching and the way that Schwallenbach is pitching, you still want to give them some support. They did score some runs today, which was probably helpful in trying to get a win of a baseball game. But when you have Schwallenbach pitching the way he does recently, and really big picture, like 3.11 ERA for the season, xFIP around 3, FIP around 3, like he's pitching at a high level. And you made this point. I'm going to throw it to you. You made this point on Twitter already. It seems like Schwallenbach is like maybe a top 10 pitcher in baseball. Like we have about a year sample size as you laid out. And that's not crazy. It might sound crazy if you don't know him. He's not famous yet outside of Braves fans, but he's kind of just living in that range for this little time.
Yeah, I was curious after today's start, Schwallenbach over the last calendar year, so 32 starts, about 200 innings, which is a testament to his durability and availability. But in every stat that you want to look at to evaluate a pitcher, whether it's WAR, ERA, FIP and xFIP, strikeout rate, walk rate, you name the stat, Schwallenbach is at worst top 15 across all qualified starters in Major League Baseball. And he's generally top 10 or even top 8 in basically everything. He has a sub 3 ERA over his last 32 starts. I think that ranks him 8th among all starters. And the 7 guys above him are like the best of the best, including his own teammate, Chris Sale. The strikeouts are up. The walks are down. He's just such a complete pitcher. And I mean, Schwallenbach was a decently high selected player in the draft. It's not like he was a 19th round pick and this is some miracle development, but he was not a regular on top 100 prospect lists. He had the elbow surgery right after the Braves drafted him. So even internally among fans and people who followed the organization, he kind of fell off to the side a little bit. And ever since he started to figure things out a couple of starts in last year, I mean, he's been as good as basically anyone, short of maybe like Paul Skeens and Tarek Skubal and Chris Sale. And that's pretty remarkable for a guy at his point in his career.
For sure. And look, Sean Steven did this yesterday, so we won't do it again. But if Schwallenbach does this for 2 or 3 more starts, he might make the All-Star team. And people care about that more than you and I care about that. But it's in Atlanta. It's going to get a lot of attention, obviously. It always does, but even more so this time around. It'd be nice if they had some representation beyond Sale, who seems like a lock, and maybe Acuna, who should be there and is very popular and should be. But Schwally's the next guy on the list right now. So he's been pitching awesome. It was a big boy outing today in an afternoon game, kind of a sleepy spot potentially, certainly a high pressure one, because every game right now, unfortunately for the Braves, is high pressure. They have to win games. We'll talk about that more even later in the show when we kind of preview the upcoming Rockies series. And yes, they're playing the Rockies this weekend. And normally that's like, oh man, yes, they're playing the Rockies. And this time it's like, you can't lose to the Rockies. You have to win these games. So we'll get into that later. But Schwally doing this was just awesome. And I wanted to make sure we led with that because it was just a lot of fun to watch.
And not a small thing, but the Braves are off on Thursday. Schwallenbach covered all 9 innings on Wednesday. And on Tuesday, was it Bummer pitched? And then it was pretty much the mop-up guys besides that, right? So you basically are giving your bullpen 4 full days of rest. And that's not a small thing, especially with how Jekyll and Hyde this group has been. So that's, again, man, we're getting closer to like the dog days of the season now. It's not early anymore, but it's obviously still a long ways to go before August and September and the postseason push. But just a big tip of the cap to Schwallenbach. He was great, picked up the whole team. The offense did just enough, and the Braves picked up a series win over a Brewers team that's been playing really well lately.
In an effort to keep the vibes high in this first segment, we'll stop here. We'll come back in a moment to talk about the rest of this game on Wednesday, and then a little bit of big picture because Scott did miss some pretty grim stuff that we'll touch on briefly just to keep Scott above water as he returns to the mainland. But first, a word from our partners on today's podcast.
Kratz, you look different today. Do I see Chubby's shorts on your shoulder?
Oh, the sick design. I mean, don't even get it twisted too, because the lining normally is like an SOS pad. This lining that's in the center is so soft, so smooth. The outside, so many things to choose from on chubbyshorts.com.
Facts. And the code FOUL for 20% off. I got the Tiger Sharks.
Ooh-wee.
A blend of a tiger and a shark. It's beautiful. So don't wait. For a very limited time, shop Chubby's biggest sale of the year, $45 shorts and up to 65% off select gear. Hit up chubbyshorts.com and grab your favorites before they're gone. If you miss the sale, then use the FT code, FOUL in lowercase, for 20% off. Support FT, let them know we sent you when the survey asks, and get ready to turn some heads. Summer's here, dress like it in Chubbies.
Okay, Scott, let's discuss the rest of the game today on Wednesday. Obviously, it was a 6-2 victory, so they scored 6 runs. And when they scored 6 runs, our guy Sean Coleman's been pointing this out in real time. The 5+ run, 6+ run numbers for the Braves are as good as any team in the baseball. When you score 6 runs, you're going to win 80% of the time, roughly. That's probably a guess, but it's a high number when you score that many runs. And they did today. They actually went and scored runs. And it was familiar. Like, there was the game on Monday that was, everyone made this point, it wasn't just us, about like, hey, this is what it's supposed to be. A couple of home runs, great starting pitching, and you kind of do it. Today, it was kind of similar to that. Rowland Acuna looked like the best player in the world today. Hits a home run, 3 hits. Michael Harris, who's had a lost season for the most part at the plate, hits a home run today. Love to see that. And they do enough else. Like, they weren't great anywhere else, but they did enough. Hand it over to Schwelly. But any observations that you had from today's game, other than just the fact that they actually, again, put up 6 runs?
Yeah. Isn't it amazing how just a couple of home runs just cures all? And today's win was basically the blueprint for how the Braves were built. Pitch well and hit a couple homers, and maybe an occasional opportunistic hit with runners in scoring position. And I mean, Michael Harris is, you said it perfectly, a lost season, but that's now 2 homers for Harris over his last 5 games. Of course, he's still Michael Harris. He had 1 at bat today. He struck out on 4 pitches. I don't know if a pitch was not only in the strike zone, but within like the outer box of the strike zone. I mean, it was nowhere close. There were 2 runners on base, and it's just more the same for Mike. Somebody joked, do we need to get like glasses for Michael Harris so he can like see the baseball? Why not? You know, like Murphy does it, Nick Allen does it, other players. Ronald had glasses on the other day. Why not? It's just more the same. And then for Ronald Acuna Jr., he's a special player. And the way that he gets his hands in on those pitches inside the zone, we all know that Ronald can just absolutely hammer an outside away pitch, a fastball or a slider, and hit it to right center field. He did that the other night. But for him to then drop his hands and get in on a backup breaking ball and hit it 400 feet, he's just ridiculous. And the fact that he's just so good after missing a full calendar year with another knee injury is just so damn impressive.
Ron Acuna is an alien. Like, we tried our best to keep reasonable expectations for what he might look like in the short term after the injury, right? Like, the first time around he got hurt, he had to ease back in. He was still a good player, but he wasn't Ronald Acuna in all caps. This time they waited longer. They were probably more responsible, quite frankly, with his rehab. And he comes back in. He's not running the same way he was, but he's mashing. He looks incredible. I mean, the numbers are what the numbers are. He has a 1,000+ OPS, a 199 WRC plus. It's just like he's back to being a top 5 hitter in baseball. That's what he looks like just right away. And look, he is on, I think it's like a 10.5 or 11 WAR pace over a full season. Now, he won't get there because he missed all that time. But somebody asked today, I think they were joking, but I'm going to entertain it for a second. Like, what would Ronald have to do to win the MVP while missing a month and a half? Like, he probably can't do it. But all joking aside, if he were to play at this exact level, which I think we can assume, this is kind of ridiculous. If he did this the rest of the year and didn't miss any more time, he actually might be an MVP candidate. That's how crazy good. Again, I'm not expecting that to happen. I'm saying if, and that also tells you just how ludicrous he has been so far since he came back.
Yeah. Oh, he's been incredible. And not a small thing, but I think Ronald's defense has been better than where I was expecting it to be. Agreed.
His arm too. He's always had a great arm. He is just wielding it out there right now. And that's
the other team hits a ball with a runner on base, and you find yourself thinking, please run. Please try to take that extra base on Ronald. Even if the guy is safe, you just want to see him unhurl a ball and send it 1,000,000 miles an hour. Yeah, I mean, Ronald is a special hitter. He showed up to his rehab in just terrific shape. You would never know that he just had another knee surgery. I think David O'Brien noted that Ronald is slimmer than he was a couple of years ago. He has more muscle. Obviously, he learned from that first knee recovery and what it takes to come all the way back. And I also think the Braves training staff deserves some credit here because nobody would have blamed the Braves for being ultra aggressive with Acuna to get the MVP back out there. But it seems like the decision to be extra cautious and be really, really careful with his knee and with Ronald's doctors is going to pay off because, man, he is just, I mean, he's hitting everything. He had a not great series against the Giants over the weekend. And then I think against Milwaukee, he went 7 for 11 and just hit the cover off the baseball every night.
Yeah, and you look at his StatCast page, which is still populated because the sample size is so small, but a lot of bright red, as you might imagine. Like a lot of, it's not fluky what he's doing, despite the fact that it's basically Aaron Judge level performance so far since he came back. And Aaron Judge, by the way, is not a human being either. Aaron Judge is an all-time ridiculous hitter. But
I don't know if I know because Judge has the Yankees thing. It's almost like it's not overlooked, but Judge is having like one of the greatest 5-year stretches in the history of Major League Baseball. And I know it's hard to compare eras from now to, 1965, but what a hitter. But honestly, I think Judge is clearly the best hitter on the planet.
Yeah.
And I think Ohtani's probably number 2, but if you want to argue Acuna's right there, then zero arguments.
I think we are on the same page there. It would be hard even for the biggest Braves homer to argue Rowland is better hitter than Aaron Judge, who has a career OPS of, I just looked it up, 1026 in 10 seasons, including a number that's over 1,200 this year after a full season of 1150 last year. He's like Bonzian, basically.
Yeah.
But anyway, to the side, Ronnie's been awesome. You mentioned Michael Harris. I have to get this one stat off that I didn't share earlier. Michael has not walked since May 18th. It is June 11th, Scott, in case you were wondering what day it is. It's recording this podcast. That isn't going to work. We are fans of Michael Harris. He has to take a walk. He's never going to be a high walk player, I don't think, but he has to take a walk every once in a while or you just have no chance. One other thing that I wanted to point out I'm not trying to be negative on a relatively, at least by recent standards, upbeat podcast. Marcel Ozuna, while you were gone, which is why I'm bringing it up, I think right after you left for Hawaii, and I know you saw this, it kind of got dropped in. I think it was on June 2nd that Marcel Ozuna has a pretty significant hip injury. And it was just like down a story. It wasn't a lead story. It was like, wait, isn't this, and everyone had the same reaction. It was like, isn't this kind of big news? And it is to us. And I'm not saying this is why, but Marcel has not been very good in the last couple of weeks. And it is a reminder of a couple of things. Number one, he was good before that. And just before anybody says I'm trashing Marcel, we praised him last year endlessly as the only guy that was good in the lineup last year. He was. But it is a reminder that if he is compromised, we don't know that yet, but he's obviously hurt. He's admitted that. He doesn't do anything else. So he has to hit or it's going to get ugly. And actually including today, maybe coming into today, he was 3 of his last 33 with only 2 walks. And earlier this year, he was really, all year long, he's not really had the same juice in the bat that he had last year. He was walking an obscene amount. Like it was like league leading walk rate. That's gone down and his performance has gone down. And I wonder if you're at all alarmed because the combination of that and the injury, I'm a little bit worried about Marcel.
Yeah, and the age. I think Marcel's 35, maybe 34, about to be 35. So he's not a young man anymore. And he looks every day of his age right now, especially with the hip. So we'll see. I think it is a legitimate concern. And of course, we don't know. I think Alex said, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Alex said that Marcel has a small tear in his hip.
Yep.
I'm not a doctor. I don't pretend to be one. I don't know if like resting it would necessarily help. It probably wouldn't hurt, but if it was like if we keep him off his feet for 2 weeks, it's going to be fine. Then I think it's obvious. You put Marcel on the IL and then you just run Baldwin and Murphy as your DH catcher every night. But if it's probably not getting better until he can have surgery in the offseason. I understand why Marcel is going to try to play through it. He is a pending free agent as well.
Yep.
So that's probably some calculus here as he nears the end of his career. But, Marcel, the Braves need more out of Marcel. He's been bad, and it feels – everybody in this lineup has frankly been bad outside of two and a half players. But yeah, I mean, you watch Marcel up there right now. He just does not look comfortable as he did even just a month ago.
Yeah, and look, I want to make sure we acknowledge again, like Marcel has been anything but the problem. Basically, everyone has been in some level of problem on the offense since the beginning of last season, except for Marcel. And this is really the first time in the last 2 years where he's really looked like this. And to me, it is like a coincidence because the injury is out there. But you're right. I mean, I have a feeling, and no one said this, that they would give him some time off if they thought it was going to help him. And that's not happening. So it's like, I've even seen people argue like, hey, give him a day off every once in a while. Maybe if that would help, maybe sure. I mean, it can't hurt to try it. They do have a guy that is capable of playing there, of course, with either Baldwin or Murphy. And look, I'm not worried about him either, but Baldwin's having a bit of a slump right now too. He's not been special in the last few weeks. And by the way, not worried. Baldwin's awesome, but he was probably due for some regression. These things happen in cycles, but that's kind of speaks to maybe why some of like, hey, why aren't they scoring runs the last few weeks? Well, other than Ronnie, Olsen's been pretty good lately. Baldwin cooled off. Ozuna cooled off. Rowley's never really gotten hot for an extended period of time. Like, hey, I wonder why they're not scoring runs. Like, it's like, do the math.
Yeah, it feels like every night there's just it's frustrating, and we won't go down the offense rabbit hole for the 4 millionth time this year, but at the end of the day, is the team going to hit? And Marcel Ozuna is a big part of that. And we'll see what the next couple of weeks hold. Maybe the Braves do give him 10 days off to see if it helps. If Marcel has another bad weekend, maybe then they have a real conversation on Monday and say, the Braves are built. Like, teams generally are not built to withstand a DH, especially a hitter as good as Marcel is, to lose their DH, because then you're just kind of throwing in a bench piece.
Yeah,
to your DH spot.
They do have an option. Like most teams don't. To your point, they have somebody to put there. And look, I'll just throw this in. On a day like if you're judging Drake Baldwin or Sean Murphy against a high-end DH, they probably aren't going to be as good as that, but they're still better options than most people have at DH.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean. There are levels to this. Catcher in general, like it's not a hitting first position in the way that some guys are, but yeah, they are set up pretty well, and we'll see. And again, I'm not terrified about Ozuna yet, but the combination of the injury reveal and the downturn like at the same time seems like it's kind of too convenient to ignore at this point. I have one more note on the offense because it's just too funny. And funny is probably the wrong word, but I shared this in our private message today. But I looked this up today. Nick Allen, who I have enjoyed playing defense all year long. We all have, right? I got really, really yelled at about a month ago on Twitter for just kind of saying Nick Allen wasn't going to hit because he has never hit in his life. He's not hitting, Scott. He has the lowest ISO, and that for people that don't know is the basically power only metric of any player in baseball that is a qualified regular. He has basically the least power of any player in baseball. I still think he may not have a barrel this season at last check, like literally 0 barrels. And the glove's great, but I just want to say, like, that's tough to navigate. I know they did the whole bit last night on the show, Stephen and Sean. I'm not trying to repeat that, but because of that, I looked it up and I was like, man, I wonder if it's actually, and yeah, it's actually as bad as I thought it was.
Yeah.
It's tough.
And frankly, I mean, we knew months ago this was probably going to be the shortstop situation, whether it was Arcia or Allen. And while Nick Allen is like a virtual lock to win the Gold Glove if he plays, he just can't really hit. And I think we all said, hey, if he's 9th and everybody else ahead of him is hitting, who cares?
If
right.
Well,
Michael Harris. Yeah. Michael Harris doesn't hit. Ozzy Albies is not really hitting. Austin Riley he's in a funk. We don't have to go down the whole list again, but yeah, it's been
on Nick Allen while we're here. I just to be somewhat positive, Nick Allen has been that bad of a hitter with that little power this season. He's still on pace for like 2 wins by replacement for the year. Like that's a player you can play in your lineup. Like he's not gonna kill you. It's just that he is the polar, like he's the prototypical example of literally 0 bat and great glove at a premium position. And that's the archetypal of that idea. Like that's the, you can do it at shortstop in a lineup that had better offense. You wouldn't feel it as much. Yeah. But when you have Michael Harris doing a Nick Allen impression, quite honestly, that's in different ways, obviously, but you know what I mean? More bark and less bites. I'm not sure what the proper analogy is there, Scott, but
Yeah.
it's been tough. And hey, again, full circle, 6 runs today. I'm channeling Sean. 6 runs today. Ronald Acuna is a high-level future Hall of Fame player if he stays healthy. Knock on wood. You feel okay about it some nights, and then on Tuesday night, if we did this podcast last night, like Sean and Steven had to do, we wouldn't feel so good. But
Nope.
The roller coaster.
Yeah, and it's funny. This series, Monday night, great win. Tuesday night, awful loss. Oh my God, what a giant fart of a baseball game that was. and then today it was, Braves scored early. They scored often. Pitching was great. So it was good to get a bounce back. I know it's funny watching from afar and following on Twitter. Everyone's like, all right, Monday night, great win. Here they go. And then Tuesday was awful. And then on getaway day with the day off, and now you have the Rockies. You have some series
You're back
coming
in town. Scott's here again. They can start hitting again. They're allowed to do so. That's a good tee up by you. We're going to have one more break from our sponsors, and then we'll kind of preview what's to come and the general vibe, which is still not great, but still better than it could be. And again, stay tuned. Be right back.
If you're one of those on-the-go people or you're skipping meals but you don't want to, there's got to be a quicker solution. We've got one for you. It's called Huel. I'm going to take a swig. Cheers to Huel. This is the Black Edition, plant-based as well. Good for me. But what do you like about it?
I like the nutrition of it, and the replacement meal is great for me. Someone always on the go. Like, man, I can just grab one of these out of my fridge, lunch, breakfast, whatever it takes. Whatever meal I'm not going to have time to eat, it fills me up, and it tastes great. You know why? Because it tastes like milkshake, ice cream, whatever you want to call it, whatever flavor you get is delicious.
35 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, 27 vitamins and minerals, low sugar. You can get yourself 15% off plus a free gift for new customers using the exclusive FT code FOUL, F-O-U-L, at Huel.com/FOUL. Please see our description for terms and conditions. Skip the stress, not the nutrition. Try Huel today for complete nutrition. Bottled.
Okay, Scott. The Rays won the series, as we led with. They lost 6 in a row before that. Yes. They're now 29-38. You made a note that I'm going to pass to you, but the Braves have a plus 10 run differential this season, which seems impossible for a team that's not getting 500, but it's not impossible. Things like that happen. But I wonder from afar, since you did not have to experience the actual rock bottom the way that we did on the show in the last, well, I should say, we hope that was rock bottom. Just a minor correction there. We hope that was rock bottom. What do you feel about that? Like, knowing that they're 29-38 with some metrics that are like, I think the way that Steven and I said it was like, hey, they're playing like a 500 team, which no one should be excited about, but that's better than this. I know it's weird.
Run differential is not scientific. It's not a perfect stat. It's not a 1-for-1 proposition. But the fact that the Braves have a plus 10 positive run differential 2 weeks into June, and they're 9 games below 500 is mathematically improbable. And I was on a long flight today. I was thinking about this, and I think that's why deep down I still have, maybe it's foolish hope, but just a little bit of hope that this team is not completely dead. If they were 9 games below 500 with a negative 35 run differential, I would say this year's over. Like,
yeah,
sell literally anything you can that's not a long-term piece, and let's just move on and flush it and hope this is an anomaly of a year. But I still have the feeling, based on these stats, that if you look at run differential, the Braves are supposed to be more of like a 500 team. Teams like the Cleveland Guardians and the Kansas City Royals have run differentials 30 or 40 runs worse than the Braves, and they're above 500. That's tough. And again, it's not a perfect stat, but I don't know. Maybe it's just some blind optimism. That's probably what this is. It's just blind optimism that they can figure some things out. But it's mid-June. It is now or never. This team has to reel off, in addition to playing well from now until the end of the season, they also have to reel off a real stretch here. They have to go 9-1 over 10 games, or, over the next 25, go 19-6 or something like that. That's what they need to climb out of this hole, and then they have to sustain it. And I'm not saying they need to. I mean, that really is where we're at now. It is not
the sustain
early.
thing is a good point. No, I mean, because we covered this. You and I did. The Braves did have a stretch this season. where they went 19-10 over 29 games. I think they were the best team in the National League at that sample size, or second best. Like they were like an elite team for about 5 weeks. Unfortunately, before and after that, they were terrible.
Yes.
So we've all forgotten. And by the way, I'm glad you said exactly that. You have to do it, and then you can't give it back. The first time they did that, they gave it back in full. In about a week and a half, they just gave it back. And you can't afford that anymore. You have one more stretch like that this year, you're probably dead.
They're dead.
Like you,
they
anything like that. I'm talking about like even the better version of what they just did for 2 weeks. You can't do it. I mean, you can go 500 for a couple weeks probably if you have a scalding hot streak somewhere, but you cannot do it at one of these like we're going to go 3-12 stretch. Like you can't do it anymore.
They're dead.
That's done.
Even like a 5-game losing streak, I think they're dead. I mean, they'll inevitably, even if the Braves start to play better, they'll have a stretch where they lose 3 in a row, 4 in a row. But if they lose 5 in a row again, which would be the third time this year, they're done. Like mathematically, they're going to be pretty close to done.
It does feel that way. We don't have to do the one like off-field story that everyone's talking about today from the Braves was this James McCann set of quotes to Ken Rosenthal, our colleague over at Foul Territory and Fair Territory. He kind of went after the organization. And James McCann, if you don't know, is the veteran catcher who's currently in AAA on a minor league deal with the Braves. And for a Brave to kind of be going at the Braves this way was some eyebrow raising around baseball about the Craig Kimbrell handling. And I won't really I said my piece on Sunday with Steven. We were both like baffled by the handling of the situation. Like I thought it was a clear mistake by Alex. Like I don't know what the heck they were doing. Nothing more to add, but do you have a take on this? Like, did you think anything about this knowing that you hadn't talked about it yet?
No, I thought you and Steven did a great job. That segment on Sunday night, I was walking or doing something and just found myself nodding along with it. It was a self-imposed black eye. Why? I still don't understand it. It's been almost a week. I have no idea what the Braves were thinking. I wouldn't do that to Kimbrell. You wouldn't do it. Frankly, I'm still surprised by it. Made no sense. Doing it in San Francisco and then cutting him 24 hours later for Austin Cox or whoever the hell they called up and then somebody else. Like it was a PR.
Yeah.
It was stupid. I mean, that, in the simplest terms, it was stupid. And the Braves don't need to be doing stupid things when they're having this horrible season on the field.
Yeah. And then McCann was ironically like in the exact situation that Kimbrell's in. Now, he's not a Hall of Famer like Kimbrell, but a good player for a long time on the same kind of contract with a rolling opt-out. And he's kind of like, hey, don't do that to me. Like, he didn't say that, but it's kind of like, hey, can you not do that to me in a couple weeks?
I guarantee you there were multiple players in the organization who had the exact same feelings as McCann did.
He kind of said that. I mean, he kind of said that to Ken. It was like the people around the team were frustrated. Yeah. I don't know who that is. We'll never know. But like, that's not a situation that the Braves usually do. Like, not to be like all like Braves way or whatever. I'm not always doing that, but they don't usually get this kind of cycle. Like there's occasionally like the Snit versus Ronnie and like on-field things. You don't hear the behind the scenes stuff very much. Like that's not something that gets out. And this is more like, and again, he's not a lifetime Brave, and maybe that's why he's been a journeyman. Perhaps that's why he's talking to Ken Rosenthal on a Monday or whatever it was. But still, it's just a weird look. And by the way, Kimbrell signed with the Rangers minor league deal after he left the free agency. So I hope Craig gets back. We'll see.
And I didn't really get to talk about Kimbrell. I'll say, I mean, from a baseball perspective, no problem with moving on from Kimbrell.
Yeah.
I don't think he's good. You don't think he's good. Nobody really thinks Kimbrell is very good at this point, but just the optics and all of that was just an ugly self-inflicted wound the Braves just frankly did not need.
I wanted to give you a chance to do that exact bit if you wanted to. And here we are in an effort to, by our standards, get out of here relatively quickly on a shorter episode on a Wednesday. I'm sure you want to go to sleep. You were on a long flight today. Yeah. The Braves, as we alluded to earlier, come home to face the Rockies this weekend. I don't know if we'll have a show between now and the start of the series and all that stuff. So this will be our mini preview. The Rockies are terrible. I mean, all time, very, very, very terrible. They're playing right now against the Giants. They're down 2-0 in the first inning. So they might lose. They are underdogs to win the game today they're playing. If they were to lose, as we're recording this podcast, they would be 12-55
Ooh.
when they arrive in Atlanta. That is a staggering number. They are already 27 games out of first place in the division on June 11th. So we all know the story here. They're on pace to be one of, if not the worst team in history right now. I tee that up to say, usually on the podcast, we would be doing the bit, and it's not really a bit because I actually believe it, of like, hey, you can't assume a sweep ever. You can't. I know how bad they are. Earlier this season, the Braves beat them in a series in Colorado, but did lose a game. And ironically, they lost the game pitched by Chris Sale. And Sale is really good, and the Braves scored 1 run in a game at Coors Field.
Yep.
If you do that, you can lose. That's just what it is. So I say all that to say, I'll never say you have to sweep a team. It's just so hard to do. Scott, this is about as close as it has to be. Like, you come home with where the Braves are, playing the worst team of all time. They really kind of need to sweep them.
Yeah.
They really do. Like, I mean, that seems aggressive as it comes out of my mouth, but I can't stop myself from saying it. It's like, if there was ever a time to get a sweep, it kind of needs to be here.
They have to do it. At home, desperately need to win 3 games this weekend. The Rockies are so bad. So bad. Yeah, and you have Bryce Elder pitching, which, dude, I missed the Bryce Elder start over the weekend.
Oh, yeah. We had talked about, I mean, we did it on the show, but Bryce, I mean, I felt so bad on the podcast for him. And it was like hours later, and we're like, man, I can't believe they lost that game. I mean, I sat there in stunned silence and lost it. But Bryce Elder, here. Yes. Hopefully he does it again on Friday. By the way, I misspoke. The Rockies play again on Thursday. So we're recording this Wednesday afternoon as they play. They play again tomorrow. So the Braves have a rest advantage too. So on top of everything else, they have a day rest advantage against the Rockies. So there's that.
So when they lose on Friday night, we can all just bang our heads against the wall for the millionth time. But yeah, in all seriousness, Braves have to win.
Please
3
win.
games. Yeah, please win. There you go. That's the summary of the segment. Please, for
no
the love of
hashtags.
God.
No hashtags though. We're not doing hashtags. Sean's hashtag record this season is not what we want to see. But please win. It's Elder. It's Strider. It's Sale. Against the Rockies, we don't know the starters yet. It doesn't particularly matter to me who the starters are for the Rockies. I say that because, and look, this should not be how the team is thinking. We are not on the team, so we can say how much of a favorite the Braves should be in these games. The team should be like, hey guys, we're 29-38. It doesn't matter who we're playing. We have to play well and win. So I'm sure there's no overconfidence in that clubhouse at the moment.
Well, and frankly, last year, this team struggled with the White Sox. They struggled with the Rockies. This year, they took 2 out of 3 against Colorado, which is not horrible. But when you're 12 and likely 57 when they come to town on Friday, one of those 12 wins was against the Braves when they had the reigning Cy Young winner on the field. So please win these 3 games. Make life easier on yourselves. Don't make them close. It feels like every game the Rockies are losing 5-0 by like the 3rd inning. And it's just kind of cruise control. Let's do it. Take advantage of it. Because then after this very, very winnable series against the Rockies, you have 7 games with the Mets coming up. I think you have the Phillies again as well. You know, it's go time. If the Braves are going to make this season and this summer interesting, it's go time. And it starts with the Rockies this weekend.
We will know by, at the latest, the end of June, whether this is a team that has a chance to do anything.
Yeah.
Because of what you just said. The schedule is what it is. After the Colorado series, it's the following. It's Mets, then Marlins, but then Mets, Phillies. And by the way, I'm not talking about the division. You're not either at this point. The division's not even a thought. They have to win. We're talking about the wild card. I know they're playing the Mets and the Phillies. People think no, it's not about that. It's just that those teams are good teams, and you have to beat them. It's hard.
Yeah.
So, Scott, you're back. Nice to see you. Nice to talk to you after about 10 days. I have a similar window later in the season where I'll be gone for about as long as you just were and probably unable to record podcasts. This is why we have 4 of us. But I did miss you. I'm sure the listeners missed you as well. And as I will quote my own text to you the other day, after some of the worst losses I've ever seen in my life, you can't travel anymore. You're now banned. So my apologies for that, but you can't go to Hawaii ever again. Tell your wife that I'm sorry.
I was really hoping the Braves were going to go on a run in the positive direction when I was gone. And then it's like, guys, I don't want to mess with the mojo. I can't be on the schedule this week. It's just you boys.
What was the official record? I believe so. You left after the first. So you and I did a pocket. I think they went while you were gone. They went 1-7.
1-7. That's
because they won today, and you were already back.
Yes.
So 1-7 while Scott was gone. Draw your own conclusions, folks. I'm kind of kidding, but hey, baseball is a weird sport. There's also a stat out there. It's like they can't win when Sean Murphy catches. If people think Sean Murphy's the reason, it's very funny. Baseball's a weird sport. It's not his fault. All right, Scott, let's get out of here. If people are new to the podcast, and if they are, then we've done a lot of inside jokes on this show. My apologies if you're new to the listeners. If they are new, Scott, where can they find you as you talk about the Braves from Hawaii or Arizona or wherever you might be?
There we go. I did think about setting up a remote office for all of us to record podcasts from in Hawaii. That would be nice.
You did threaten to call in on one of the more dark episodes. I think you might have been having a few Mai Tais before we talked, even because you were on vacation. And I was like, I think you might get fired, so we probably shouldn't have you on the show today.
That's a pro move, Brad. That's why you are the man who steers the boat for us all. But thank you to everybody for tuning in. We know this has been a very frustrating season, but behind the curtain, people keep listening to the show. They keep tuning into the show on YouTube, downloading on audio, and it means the world to us. It's why we do so many shows. The community is so strong, and it's growing by the day, so we really do appreciate that. If you want to follow along on socials, I am at Scott Coleman 55, and I think, Brad, you and I will be back for a show on Sunday after, knock on wood, let's get a sweep of the Rockies and get a 4-game winning streak going.
That is the plan, our traditional Sunday evening time slot in which you and I have talked a lot over the last almost decade at this point. That's a real number, which is blowing my mind as I'm saying it out loud. But thank you for being here, Scott. Thank you for being to the listeners for listening. Scott, I just said it perfectly, but we really appreciate you tuning in always. And I joke, but also it's true. If you don't want to hate listen one day and you want to support us, just download the podcast. Just smash the download button. Tell a friend. I get it. We all get it. I promise. But we try to be responsible on the show and be uplifting and everything in between. So we cover the team whole hog all year round. We appreciate it. Subscribe to the show, and we'll see everybody next time.